The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky, and I think we're going to start off this segment with our starting an NFL franchise who we would have at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and kicker. And before each of us reveal our positions, the other is going to guess who they picked. So we'll start with the quarterback. And I guess I'll go first. So who do you think I picked?
Cam Newton.
I did.
Okay.
I did. For you, I'm going to go with, this is probably going to be wrong, Russell Wilson.
Incorrect. Although he'd be at the near the top. I also picked Cam Newton.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we both picked Cam. I mean, he's the undisputed MVP of the season. So, and I mean, he's had such a good year. It's kind of hard, to not want to start a franchise with him.
Right, especially with what he's doing behind the lack of talent on offense. With really not much of a running game with Jonathan Stewart. I know he had a nice season this year. Really nothing in the passing game. He doesn't have any wide receivers to throw to. He threw 10 touchdown passes to Ted Ginn.
Yeah, I mean, he could throw to anybody. He makes everyone around him a better player.
And then the offensive line has been shaky.
Right. Okay.
So now to the running back. I'm going to guess that you picked Todd Gurley.
No, but I actually thought about him. So you were close. I'll tell you who mine was. He's from the same state, at least not anymore. Jamal Charles was my pick because when he's healthy, he's one of the best running backs in the game.
He is. Who do you think I picked then?
Oh boy. Marshawn Lynch.
Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, Le'Veon. Okay, of course. Those are probably the best two, Marshawn Lynch and Le'Veon Bell.
AP's another good choice. I just went Bell's younger than Charles and Lynch.
Right.
So now wide receiver. I'm going to say you picked Antonio Brown.
I did not pick Antonio Brown, but I'm going to say you picked Antonio Brown.
I did not. I picked Odell Beckham Jr.
That's who I picked, Odell Beckham Jr.
He's just so young and good, and Cam Newton would love throwing to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tight end, I'm just guessing you picked Gronk.
I did.
You can assume that I did too,
yes.
And I did.
Okay. So
now it goes down to the kicker.
What world-renowned kicker did you pick?
I'm going to guess that you picked Graham Gano on Carolina.
Okay, I did not.
You did not?
I'm going to guess you picked Steven Gostkowski.
I did not.
Okay.
I picked Justin Tucker.
You picked Justin Tucker. I picked Brandon McManus.
Really?
On Denver. He makes some crazy kicks.
He did. He did make a lot of nice kicks. So there you have it. My team, if I was starting a franchise, I'd start with Cam Newton at quarterback, Le'Veon Bell at running back, Odell Beckham Jr. at wide receiver, Gronk at tight end, and then Justin Tucker as the kicker.
And mine is Cam Newton, Jamal Charles, Odell Beckham Jr., Gronkowski, and Brandon McManus.
Both very good franchises to start with. Now we can move on to
talking about some of the other games.
The picks that are our picks says.
Oh, let me get the pick music.
Yeah, get the pick music going, man. What are you doing? So as we said in the previous segment with Chris Simpson, I'm going with the Cardinals and the Patriots, while Ryan's going with the Broncos and the Broncos and the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm not going to be rooting for the Panthers. I like Arizona more. Just overall, I like them as a team overall.
I think Arizona's just too much of a complete team, and I think getting that playoff win was a huge weight off of everyone's shoulders, and I think they're going to play more of their game in this one because they weren't really throwing the ball down the field. They were throwing a lot of short passes. Palmer didn't want to turn the ball over because he had never won a playoff game before, so he's got that playoff win. They've all got a big weight lifted off their shoulders. I think they're going to be ready for Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. I just think Carolina. I can't see Carson Palmer going to the Super Bowl. It's hard for me to pick. When you think of who's going to go to the Super Bowl, I just think Cam Newton is going to go to the Super Bowl, and I think.
Did you see that?
I'm not sure he's going to win, but I think he's going to go.
Did you see that graphic that in the 11 of the past 12 years, from the AFC, the quarterback has either been 11 of the last 12 AFC champs have been either Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, or Ben Roethlisberger.
Yes, I did see that. I actually retweeted it and had a comment.
Yeah.
And
with the one exception being Joe Flacco.
I know, Flacco ruined it. He ruined it.
That's just crazy, and that really shows the importance of having a franchise quarterback.
Who did the Ravens beat in the AFC Championship?
The Patriots.
Okay, so if they would have won it would have all been good.
The year before was when Billy Cundiff missed that 25-yard field goal that never had a chance.
Right. Yeah, that was bad. I just think that the Panthers are going to go to the. I think it's going to be a close game. I will be rooting for Arizona because obviously I like them more than Carolina.
I like Carolina. I just think at some point having no wide receiver talent is going to get to Carolina because they're going to be involved in a close game and Cam Newton's going to need to make plays and he's just not going to have the talent around him to get it done.
Right. I don't know. I mean, it's really a toss-up. I'm picking Carolina, but I am going to be rooting for Arizona. Okay, now AFC, and this one is actually. I mean, all the games are very intriguing. Of course, it's the championship week, but
whenever you get a Manning versus Brady, it's always a good game. It doesn't matter which Manning it is; it's always good.
Right. I think I think the Broncos are going to win.
I don't know. I think Tom Brady getting Julian Edelman back, getting Danny Amendola back. I just think it's going to be too much. I don't think Peyton Manning has enough left in the tank to make it to the Super Bowl and beat Tom Brady. I think. As we said, Chris Harris is a game-time decision. Even if he plays, I think Tom Brady is still going to beat the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's going to come down to just one player, how Chris said that it might go down. I just think that they're going to be playing in Denver. They're going to have the crowd on their side. Denver does have a lot of good offensive weapons. If Manning's on, I mean, he's going to find Demaryius Thomas. He's going to find Emmanuel Sanders. He's going to find those guys in the end zone.
Yeah, I just don't think they're going to be able to get it done because I don't think playing on the road is really scares Tom Brady that much.
No, I mean, of course it doesn't scare them. I mean, Tom Brady's been in the league for 15 years.
It won't intimidate them. I think he's going to be kind of welcoming it. Welcoming the crowd noise, kind of like Jake Arrieta did in the wild card game against the Pirates, where he was tweeting back at Pirates fans that he wants it loud.
Yeah. I love that too. That was awesome. Okay, last week we both picked Denver over the Steelers. So we each got a point there.
The Steelers just had one too many injuries.
I ended up picking Kansas City just because I went with my heart and I wanted them to beat the Patriots. They ended up losing. It was a competitive game until the end when Kansas City forgot how to tell time.
Yeah, Andy Reid just couldn't. Yeah.
Because that game, Kansas City should have got another possession at the end of that game. At least they would have set themselves up for a
clock
chance.
Management has always been bad. It's always been bad.
Right, and then they tried that onside kick, of course, because they had to, and by then the game was over. If they would have gotten it, they wasted almost a minute for 2 or 3 plays. And they were first and goal at the 3 or something.
I thought the Packers clock management was going to be their undoing because remember Rodgers threw that 60-yard pass to Janis, and then he didn't spike, and not spiking the ball wasted about 25 seconds, and then it caused a 5-yard penalty.
Right. I mean, it ended up not mattering.
They only had time for one or for 2 more plays. I mean, before if they would have spiked it, they would have had time to get some plays going, not have to try a desperation Hail Mary at the end, which ended up working.
Right. So for that New England game last week, you got a point and I didn't. We both picked Arizona, and they ended up winning in overtime, thankfully. And that was a very exciting game. One of the most exciting playoff games we've ever seen.
That's one of the most exciting games I've ever watched.
Yeah, absolutely. We both got points for that. And I was so glad it was Fitzgerald, too, who ended up doing it all in overtime. And
did you hear Bruce Arians said they had been waiting for 8 weeks to use that play? They were just never in a position to use it.
I did not hear that, but that
he said that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, he said they had been wanting to use it for 8 weeks and they never were in a position that they needed to.
Yeah, I mean, especially in overtime in the playoffs. I mean, you're trying to trick the other team, sort of. You're pulling out plays that you've never really tried before, just to try to throw the other team off guard. And we saw the Packers did that with the Hail Mary, and then the huge 40-yard bomb before that to Janis. And I mean, it's amazing. The Packers at Janus and Abraditis, two unknown people, but they both made pretty cool catches.
The funny thing about that is if it was the Bears during the Mark Trestman era, they probably would have thrown screen passes there. And the thing is, they never had trick plays. They probably would have been throwing screen passes.
You might be right about that. And then the last one, Ryan, you picked against your Panthers, and you picked Seattle. Taking the hot hand. I picked Carolina.
I just didn't have faith in Carolina.
So I gained a point back, and then we ended up tied. So it'll come down to this week where you are going with New England, and I'm going with Denver, and then you are going with Arizona, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm going with Arizona.
Arizona, and I'm going to go with Carolina, but I will be rooting for Arizona. I will not be mad in the slightest if Ryan ends up... if he beats me out for this, I could care less. But, it's still fun to pick, and it's nice that we're picking opposites. So someone will be right and someone will be wrong.
Most likely.
Which is the way it usually goes when each pick is different, of course. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun, and
it's really good teams that are in these games. Teams that are going to play in competitive games.
Right. Of course. What we're going to do now is take a break, and we will come back shortly, and we'll discuss all the other stuff. Cubs talk will be coming up soon.
Blackhawks, probably.
Of course, Hawks talk, and then we'll talk a little more about the Bulls too. We didn't really get a whole lot of time to talk about them, so we'll leave some space to talk about them too. So stick around. You're listening to the Sports Renegades, SportsTownChicago.com. The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.